joining with us here today. We beg your indulgence for the little delay in getting started, but I think we have a quorum here now and we can commence. Do have a few comments before we get into our agenda. Of course, we've already violated the first bullet point on this list, that our meeting should start at 4, and I think we're at 4:06, but we at least got started. We'll go into closed session immediately after this session. The FY27 annual plan public hearing portion begins promptly at 6 p.m. and concludes at 7. So we want to make sure we get through our agenda so we don't keep people in it later than we need to. If you wish to speak during this regular session, you can sign up now if you haven't already. And those who want to sign up to speak at the annual plan public hearing can do so with Ms. Markeisha Cruz, who I think is over here in the right corner, rear corner. All speakers will have 3 minutes to address the board. Also, those wanting to submit comments on the annual plan in as much detail as they like can utilize our comment line noted on our screen and handouts. So with that, if there's no further comment, we'll get right into our first item on the agenda, which is the approval of the minutes of our previous meeting. Commissioners, the chair will entertain such a motion.
So moved. Second.
Been properly moved and second to accept the minutes as submitted. Those in favor, let it be known. Is there any unreadiness, commissioners? Hearing none, those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 Aye. That sounded unanimous. And one of the primary reasons we're here today to take advantage of this time as we gather as a BOC is to acknowledge the service of those who have come before us and their contributions to this board and the outcome of a lot of the programs that we see that this authority initiates. We want them to appreciate the fact that we appreciate their service. And without a further delay, I'd like to initially acknowledge the immediate past chairman of the Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority Board of Commissioners, my dear friend, a loyal servant of the great city of Norfolk, a great citizen, and he and I are lucky to have to share in a set of granddaughters. So we have some very, very close personal ties. And I'd like to ask Alfonso Albert if he would come forward. I'll meet you up front. This resolution is for Mr. Alfonso Albert in gratitude for services rendered to as Commissioner of the Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority, and we should say as Chair of the Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority. Whereas Alfonso Albert served as a member of the Board of Commissioners of the Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority from January 14, 2014 through October 7, 2025, and is chairman since December 14, 2023. And whereas throughout his tenure on the board, Mr. Albert has demonstrated an unwavering support for the authority's mission of providing decent, safe, affordable housing, as well as related essential services for the citizens of Norfolk. Whereas Mr. Albert has served as a passionate advocate for residents of the authority's public housing communities and voucher holders, and has been a strong voice for the empowerment of equitable treatment of all residents, regardless of race, age, gender, or economic circumstances. And whereas Mr. Albert has a steadfast proponent of economic opportunities for minority residents, including workforce development, business creation support, and contracting opportunities. And whereas Mr. Albert's experience as a United States Marine Corps veteran, as a planning administrator with the Stop Organization of Hampton Roads, as a founding member of the Hampton Roads Committee of 200+ men, and as the executive director of the Garden of Hope Community Development Corporation, have provided tremendous insight into the innovative approaches needed to overcome the challenges facing the authority. And whereas Mr. Albert's desire to empower others and his willingness to invest time with the team were critical in shaping these authorities' delivery of impactful services. And whereas Mr. Abbott has been a mentor to countless people, an eloquent speaker who has brought unique thoughtfulness to every event he participated in, and a mission and faith-filled leader who assisted the board to better recognize the need of low-income residents of Norfolk. And whereas Mr. Albert has consistently carried out his responsibilities as commissioner and as chairman with integrity, perseverance, and compassion, now therefore be it resolved that we, the commissioners of the authority, do hereby take this opportunity to express our sincere appreciation for Mr. Albert's service to the authority and his many contributions to the board and to the residents of Norfolk over the years. Be it further resolved that the chairman of the board of commissioners of the authority is hereby directed to provide a copy of this resolution to Alfonso Albert and cause a copy of said resolution to be placed on record in the office of the authority, adopted on this 12th day of February, 2026. Earl Fraley, Chairman.
Thank you, Dr. Fraley. You want me there? Here. Okay. Well, thank you all. And I will be very, very brief. I want to thank you for offering this honor, and I do think it's an honor when you recognize former peers, particularly for this volunteer thing we do. We serve as citizen servants, and that's the kind of thing that helps our community grow and go. And so your work here is noble. I appreciate it, all the work that you all have put in when you accepted the call. And thank you for the recognition. And as long as this agency continues, and you have a very capable team in helping it continue, I know that you all will continue to provide excellent services and leadership for the city of Norfolk. So thank you all, one and all, for the recognition. And I am glad to have served with you, pleased to have served with you. And I ain't coming back. So thank you, one and all. It's been a pleasure, and look forward to seeing the great things that you all are doing for our people, for our community, and with this city. So thank you.
Al, you might not be coming back, but your phone works, right?
Yeah, my phone works.
Yeah, okay. Congratulations again, Al. We certainly do appreciate your contribution. We're going to be leaning on you. Like I said, that phone of yours still rings, and I'll be sure if anything comes up to reach out to you. We were hopeful of having former Commissioner Terrion Conyers here with us, who also had served for a number of years, was our former vice chair, and unfortunately he wasn't able to be here. I'd like to ask two things of everybody here. We've had two circumstances amongst former members of our commission that have fallen in some difficult situations. Ms. Rose Arrington, who was former Public Housing Authority resident who served on the board, was injured in an unfortunate automobile accident. You might notice she was wheelchair bound. And unfortunately, this mishap occurred. Fortunately for us, she is home. She's resting comfortably, I understand. But we ask that you keep her in our thoughts and prayers, because she was having challenges before this encounter, and I'm sure this doesn't make things any easier for her. So please keep her in your thoughts and prayers. And also, former Commissioner Mr. Albert Lewis, who recently stepped down from the board. We had hoped that he would be here as well. Unfortunately, he had to endure the loss of his wife in the recent past, and while we are still awaiting details on her final rights, we ask that you would keep Elbert Lewis and his family in your thoughts and prayers as well. And when the opportunity presents itself in the near future, we would hope that we would have the opportunity to recognize those folks' contribution before this board as well. So we thank you, thanking all of those who are here in absentia, if you will, and look forward to the opportunity of recognizing their contributions to the NRHA board at some time in the near-term future. So thank you for that. And with that, we'll move forward again with our agenda. This is the period of our agenda where we are open to public comments. Any public comments at this time? Please come forward.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. At this time, we have 4 in-person speakers for public comment. The first is Tiara Lassiter from New Virginia Majority. Topic to discuss HCV and relocation. Immediate Alton Robinson. And topic to discuss is community, and I will announce the others after these 2 speakers have completed their comment section.
Thank you, Ms. Cruz. Ms. Lassiter. Ms. Lassiter, available to you. You're fine where you are.
Oh, it's right.
You're fine either one.
My bad, y'all.
No bad at all.
Y'all know I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. I just said no. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Tiara Lassiter, and today I'm speaking about the redevelopment plans for Calvert Square and Young Terrace. I am a former resident of Tidewater Gardens, and my move-in process was not easy, simple, nor smooth. I want to raise a concern about the gap between the timeline being discussed in planning documents and what many residents understand about when they may actually have to move. Based on the Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority planning materials, the process to request federal approval for demolition is expected around 2027, and early phases of relocation could begin not long after that. However, many residents I have spoken with believe they have significantly more time before relocation becomes a reality. If people are likely to start being asked to move within the next couple of years, that needs to be communicated clearly and consistently now, not later. Preparing to move is not simple for low-income families, especially those transitioning from public housing to the housing choice voucher system. The timeline that is often presented for relocation does not reflect the real barriers residents face when trying to secure housing in the private market. The time frame of housing choice vouchers are typically short. If I recall, I was given 120 days to secure private market housing. Voucher holders must find landlords who accept vouchers, compete in a tight rental market, and meet screening requirements that many residents have never had to navigate before. Landlords may require credit checks, background checks, and rental histories that residents may not have or may contain issues with. Utility companies require deposits or past due balances to be paid before service can be turned on. Even application fees, security deposits, first month's rent, moving costs can create financial obstacles. Because of these barriers, the process of finding a unit that meets voucher requirements and passes inspection often takes longer than the time residents are officially given to search. Families can spend months calling landlords, submitting applications, and being turned away. Personally, I applied to 13 separate apartment complexes before one accepted me. Former public housing residents may face housing discrimination and negative stereotypes during their individual search for private market housing too. For residents with limited transportation, disabilities, or child care responsibilities, this process becomes even more difficult. If relocation connected to redevelopment could begin as early as 2027, then preparation and honest communication must begin now. Residents deserve realistic timelines and meaningful support so that they are not placed in a situation where they are forced to scramble for housing in a already difficult and limited market. Redevelopment should not only focus on buildings and plans, it must also focus on people and the real conditions they face when asked to move. Relocation checks should also be offered to families to assist with the financial barriers, because this was very useful to former Tidewater Gardens residents. Clear communication and stronger relocation support will make the difference between a process that works for residents and one that leaves families behind. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Lassiter. Next speaker, and as we're waiting for our speakers, a reminder, we want to limit our comments as near as possible to 3 minutes or less.
Good evening. My name is Alton Robinson. I'd like to say congratulations to Mr. Alwards going away present that y'all gave was great. I'm here because I was at the meeting at Tidewater Gardens, and I was at the meeting at Young Terrace when y'all were first presenting the RAD program. And at that meeting, a lot of residents did not understand what was being said then. I don't know if they understand now, because that was many years ago. And then you went from Young's Terrace holding that meeting, and you went to Tidewater Gardens, and then you began to demolish Tidewater Gardens. And I was in that meeting, and my concern was that, and I've heard that, I want to testify to what I heard, that you was gonna give the people there the equipment to do the things like, as far as business, some want to be entrepreneurs, they want to own businesses. And that they was going to get they was going to be given the, I'm trying to think, they was trying to give them, so long ago I was at the meeting, trying to think about, because I want to be precise and not say anything that is wrong, but you was going to give them the education piece to start a business. And this was the years before the demolition of Tidewater Gardens. So then demolition came, the people was removed, and people were scrambling to get into the new place that you guys have redeveloped. And now here we go again, starting the same thing over again with the concept of 2 more projects, Young's Terrace and Calvert Square. And I only have a question about the nation and what's going on in our nation. Our nation's at war. We don't know how long it's going to be, and how you guys are going to get the funding. We know you got funding from HUD, but a lot of departments are being shut down. A lot of things are not being funded. So we're still moving forward. And I'm wondering, are you guys looking at what's happening in the nation and how you're going to pay for all these things? Or are you sending a promise to the people in Young's Terrace and Carey Park that you sent to the people in Tidewater Park that you did not fulfill totally? You did fulfill some of it, and it's great that you guys doing a wonderful job. The construction downtown, it looked beautiful, but you displaced X amount of people, but you didn't replace them with the same amount of residents. And now, is it going to be the same for the people in Young Terrace? You're going to be the same for Carey Park without the possibility of how it's going to be funded? That's the only concern that I have, because people are scrambling right now. The gas prices are going up, food is going up, all this is going up, and a lot of people can't find a place to rent in the city of Norfolk. The housing is going up. So those are things, I don't know who's on the board, who's considering it. But I would just like to put that in y'all mind to just think about it, because y'all houses are secure for now. Y'all don't have to worry about anything that y'all are projecting for the people in these communities. Think about your house. It's wonderful now, and I say now because things can change. So consider the people that you're facing, the people that you have to sent into a predicament like the young lady that spoke earlier. It's tough out here. And so consider the people. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson.
Thank you very much.
Next speaker.
The next two in-person speakers are Dakita Perry. Topic to address is public housing, immediately followed by Brittany Beeman. Topic to address is Section 8.
Good day, everyone.
Good afternoon, Ms. Perry.
My name is Dakita Perry, and I'm a resident in the Youngs Terrace neighborhood. I'm speaking today because I want to address the conditions of the so-called refreshed units. From my experience as a resident, these units are not truly refreshed, and many issues remain that affect the quality and safety of our homes. In my current unit, the baseboards do not connect properly to the walls. My kitchen sink and cabinets were not installed correctly. Many things appear to have been simply painted over, including rust, bugs, insect eggs, paper, and holes instead of being properly repaired. In my bathroom, the door frame is rusting, and several of the door hinges are also rusted throughout the unit. But were painted over rather than replaced. Several of my electrical outlets do not work throughout the unit, and the water pressure in both my kitchen and bathroom sinks are extremely low. There is also a leak from the tub or the shower, which has caused mold to develop in my kitchen cabinets. This is not my first mold issue. I don't want to deal with that. The windows were not properly installed, and they were not cleaned when I moved in. The property manager told me they didn't have time to do all that. At one point, the spout on my bathtub fell off and I had to put it back on myself. Additionally, when I was moved the first time, I was told to discard personal belongings due to the mold in my unit. I received very little guidance and was not fairly compensated for my losses, which added unnecessary stress and financial burden. Moreover, I was not given any assistance with the move, even though the reason I was relocated was because of unsafe conditions in my previous unit. Residents are expected to manage these moves entirely on their own unless the relocation is due to large-scale redevelopment or demolition, and this policy leaves residents to deal with significant stress, financial burdens, and health risks without the support they should receive. I have submitted multiple work orders for these issues, some dating back to February 5th. Today is March the 12th. Nothing has been done. I've taken the spigot off of my sink because they won't fix the water pressure. There's been several days in the last 3 months that I've had no hot water. Ms. Campo said that the pipes burst because the cars drive on the sidewalk. But the pipe's so low in the ground, I don't understand how the two are related. I also want to make it clear that I'm not the only resident experiencing these problems. Many residents in Young Terrace have raised similar concerns about the condition of their units and the quality of repairs being done. As residents, we deserve homes that are safe, properly maintained, and honestly represented as refreshed. I respectfully ask NRHA to take these concerns seriously and ensure that repairs and renovations are completed properly, not just cosmetically. Because everybody loves the towel, right? But the towel's in the bathroom coming up. I've only been in this unit since January the 1st. I'm not speaking today just to complain. I'm speaking because residents deserve accountability and real repairs, not temporary fixes that leave us living with the same problems. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. Your comments are noted. Ms. Beeman.
My first time coming in, I do apologize. My name is Brittany Beeman. I'm coming here as far as not complaining anymore, but thanking God for having an answer. I have 9 beautiful children that I assist on taking care of. They're all with me today. I've been struggling with NHNR for quite a while, for about 4 years, of finding homes. Of course, they say it's our choice to find a home, but when it comes to inspections, we don't choose the inspectors. And it's been times that my units has been failing due to mold, electric wiring issues, deteriorate with roach infestation pests, which I have videos of everything. The city where I found out that they damaged this pipeline at this house where I'm located at, that the landlord told me and my family, excuse me if I break down, that we're going to be homeless and I got to be out of my home by next week. Section 8, I did do my part of finding a place. I got approved for it, and I supposed to move out February 1st, but I have still living in the unit, and I'm
Take your time. It's fine. Take your time.
I've been reaching out for help to my church and everybody. My church family supported me, but I reached out to legal aid, who's to handle the case for me from the time of me going through what I've been going through with my kids being sick with rashes. I have medical paperwork infected that it said the environment is what's causing my kids sickening. The deposits, they've been keeping my deposits and everything. I don't care about the money. I just want a safe living for me and my family. And it's been times that I complained that I don't know who else to talk to. My worker, Miss Ayana Pointer, has laughed at me in my face when I told her about what was going on in my process. Miss Jenkins, they've been giving me wrong information about contacting Miss Deborah Stevenson. When I spoke to my uncle, he told me to contact Mr. Clark. They kept giving me different information for Mr. Clark. They gave me a fax number. It's just, they've been treating me bad. I record everything. Thank God for a camera. I had Michael Sons to come out where they said my house almost caught fire, and I have loose wiring in my electric box where I have the videos in my phone that they said that me and my family is not at fault. And I've been fighting to get out of this situation. Mr. Urena no longer works for Housing Authority, and that's who did my last two places. And it's just not been treated fairly. And I've been losing so much that it's cost me a lot driving around in my car when my car broke down because I couldn't afford to get it fixed. I'm trying to find homes for me and my family, and I'm a single mother. All I'm doing is just asking for somewhere for us to be sanity and safe for me and my kids. I'm not here asking for nobody else support. I understand everybody's situation. Everybody's situation is different, but I'm here because I don't know what to do in the next week. I do have legal aid that is here with me because of the situation, and she was concerned about it. So they actually brought me here tonight because I didn't know where else to go. But I do apologize. I didn't mean to break down, but they are my babies, and I got to fight for my kids.
No apology necessary, Ms. Beeman. We have noted your comments. We will see that they are appropriately addressed in a timely manner.
And I do have disability. So I basically, my income is short. And I just asked my landlord to help put us in a hotel to fix the problems. She said that she's not doing any of that. I asked her what's the plan for the city to fix the pipes because I have an $8,000 water bill. And she stated to me from my previous house, it was a $7,000 water bill. And I found out the code of Norfolk has been coming to my home. And Jay Williams, the supervisor for HRS water bill, he stated that they're not going to be charging me for my water bill till they fix the problem. But that's just his word, and I'm still being billed. It's just a lot that I've been going through. But I say I've been using God to fight my battles, not the world to fight my battles. And that's why I'm here tonight, because I really don't know what else to do. And I lost everything in my home. That's materialistic. I just want to make sure I can have a roof for my kids.
Ms. Beeman, thank you for bringing this to our attention. We will see that your concerns are addressed in a timely manner.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Commissioners, we have one additional in-person speaker, Lena Harrington, topic to address Section 8 voucher.
Harrington, and it's an honor to stand before you today. I had the opportunity to come out of Young's Park, and I was one of the success stories that have given to me. I was able to come out of there, raise my two children. My son is a merchant seaman. He went around the world. My daughter has several degrees now as a nursing field, about to get her bachelor's, BS. And as a mother, that went from there, I went from there to living in Mission College apartments. From there, I've been living on Section A. Recently, unfortunately, they told me that they're not going to renew my lease. From there, I went from, I'm going to give you 30 days to leave, to now I had to leave out in 3 months. From that area, I became homeless. I had to find somewhere to go. With my Section 8 voucher, they gave it back to me. I'm looking for a place, and they told me that if you don't use it in a certain time, you're going to lose it all. Even though I'm telling them what I'm going through, what I'm facing, no one was there to help me. I'm still asking now, still transitioning. just to help me to find somewhere to go. If it wasn't for legal aid stepping in to help me, to really fight for me, I didn't have nowhere to go. I'm one of the success stories. I'm the one that did it right. I paid my bills. I did the Section 8 vouchers, but there's nowhere to go. When you go out there, I'm capped down. If I'm in a zip code, I am narrowed down to a zip code. And if that house is not in that zip code, I'm not eligible. Did I find a place? Yes, I did. But because of that zip code and that money for it, the voucher is big, but I'm narrowed down to a zip code. If I had more than that, I would have more time. So I commend you what you're doing, but there is a gap that needs to be done. And I'm just one of the voices to say, hey, if they leave out here, where are we going to go next? So I'm like, okay, where do I do then? I'm doing everything I need to do. I'm working, I'm doing things. But if I need to get off and help me, if I'm asking you to help, you're giving me a guideline and tell me that my expiration date is about to come near. I don't have none of that at all. It's been really hard. I never went through this before. I never faced this before. I never thought I had to be here, but I am here now. And I'm asking, can you just hear the voice? Can you please look at the dates on the people vouchers? Because I did that, the application piece, all that take consideration. And if they don't hire you, if they don't accept you, you still got to keep looking. I fill out their form. I did all that. But what do? I can't get an extension. I can't get no help. So this is what I'm looking for, those who are going to step out. I'm like the voice say, I still need help. Who do I go to? Who's going to help us? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Beeman. Thank you for your time, Ms. Beeman. Are there any more speakers, Ms. Cruz?
No additional in-person speakers at this time, and we do not have anyone in the chat wishing to speak.
Name's Anthony Austin, and I'm not a resident of Young Terrace or Cabot Squares, but I'm out here in the housing market. I've recently just moved into an apartment, and I'm telling you, these people, it's hard out here, and I want to retire and can't afford to retire. I'm in a situation like that. I have to work just to keep a roof over my head because my rent is $1,250. I had to pay an extra $50 just for the process, my rent check. My water bill, $160 a month. My light bill, because of the cold, the weather we just had, situation we just had, $400. Now, my monthly income, without me working, $3,100. Now I have to work just to keep I have cars. Thankfully, my cars are paid off. I have car insurance and all this stuff. But I want to know is there any kind of affordable housing y'all got for a senior like me, where I'm in the gap where I'm not considered poverty, but it takes everything I got and then some on the side just for me to live comfortably in my senior years. So I would like to know if y'all would do something for that situation. And I feel for these people right now, what they got to face. Wow, and if it wasn't for the fact that I was working, all I can say is, I don't know how they're gonna make it. And that's anything you want to say on that?
Go, excuse me. I got a cold. We did apply for housing, senior housing, and they told us that we were accepted. And when we filled out the application, they told us that we need to make the exact amount. And where we live at now, we pay more there than we're trying to move to, the place we're trying to move to. Is there a law where you have to make the same amount of income, both spouses? Applying for senior housing.
What was you trying to say? I mean, they had an income requirement.
Yes.
The income requirement for the senior place that we were trying to move into was but it was $2,600. But then that's what the form said. But they ain't turn around and tell us that's per person. Each person got to bring in $2,600
amount
in order to live in the senior apartment. But I felt like we were being discriminated there, but there's no way I could approve it.
Yeah, we pay more where we live at now than they charging over where we're trying to move at. Is 1,100? And we're paying 1,200 with utilities included. All utilities, are they included there or they're not included?
They're in the senior.
Yes,
facility.
they're not included over there.
Would have been included, but where we at now, we're paying.
But we thank you folks for bringing this to our attention,
Thank
and
you.
we'll explore that and see what type of relief that might be available.
All right, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Commissioners, we have no additional public speakers at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Cruz. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to modify our agenda. It appears to me that one of the former commissioners that we wanted to recognize has stepped in. And with that, carry on. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to share with me, I'd like to share with you, I should say, this resolution for services rendered to the Commission of the Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority by our immediate past Vice Chair, Mr. Terrion Conyers. And whereas Terrion Conyers served as a member of the Board of Commissioners of the Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority since July 11, 2023, and Vice Chair in August until August 15 of 2024. And throughout his tenure on the board, Mr. Conyers has demonstrated an unwavering support for the authority's mission of providing decent, safe, affordable, as well as related essential services for the citizens of Norfolk. And whereas Mr. Conyers has served as a passionate advocate for the members of the resident of Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority public housing communities and voucher holders, and has been a timeless voice for the neighborhood, programming, job training, and economic opportunities for all residents. And whereas Mr. Conyers' personal experience as a former resident of public housing, as a developer, and as a builder have provided valuable insight into the concerns of residents and the challenges facing the authority. And whereas Mr. Conyers brought understanding and awareness to the board, and he was instrumental in seeing and stressing the board to better recognize the impact of NRHA's initiatives and NRHA's residents. And whereas Mr. Conyers has consistently carried out his responsibilities as commissioner and as vice chair with dedication, perseverance, and compassion, now therefore be it resolved that we, the commissioner of the authority, do hereby take this opportunity to express our sincere appreciation for Mr. Conyers' service to the authority and his contributions to the board and to the residents of Norfolk. And be it further resolved that the chairman of the board of the commission of the Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority is hereby directed to provide a copy of this resolution to Terrion Conyers and a copy of said resolution to be placed on the record in the office of the authority, adopted on this 12th day of February 2028. Earl Fraley, Chairman. Congratulations.
To get my insight and my perspective on, the things that were going on in the communities and how I can contribute. Just want to say thank you all again, and I wish nothing but the best and success to all the chair and commissioners. Thank you, chair and vice chair. I appreciate you all. I don't think the vice chair is here.
No.
But I appreciate you all, and thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this. I know there are a lot of changes and things that are going on in our communities, and representation is important, and also advocating for yourselves are important. So I'm grateful to see that people come out and speak up for what's right and what they need done in the communities. And I really am eager to see these changes in the community to really help and make it better overall communities for everyone. So thank you all again for allowing me to be a part of the journey, and I continue to wish success to everyone in here. So thank you.
We'll get into our agenda item. I think that's Mr. Morales.
Good afternoon, Steve Morales. Now I'm dangerous.
Need your widget.
So tonight I'm going to go over our annual plan. Each year, NRHA presents our 5-year rolling plan, but annually we adjust and amend. So we're going to go through that tonight as they pull up the slideshow. First and foremost, we are in a 45-day comment period for our annual plan. And so part of tonight, as well as our 45-day period began on February 13th and will end on March 29th. So we have tonight, we're going to have a public hearing after the board meeting from 6 to 7 tonight, where we're going to provide the public opportunities to comment on the plan. We're also going to have a resident forum on March 28th at the Scope Exhibition Hall from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. as another place where residents can come out and provide either comments on the plan, but also interact with the NRHA staff as well as other partners and service providers for NRHA, just to do one-on-one conversations. So first and foremost, really, for a lot of folks that are new around the table or new to all of this, is what is the annual plan? Well, why exactly is it? Why do we do it? Why is it important? For NRHA, the key thing is that, one, it's a HUD requirement. It's a federal government requirement for public housing authorities to lay out how we're going to conduct our business, the initiatives that we're going to undertake, our policies and procedures, how we're going to do provide services for the residents, in this case for the city of Norfolk. And it's a 5-year rolling plan, but then annually it also lays out specific goals and things that we will do. For us, one of the key importance of it is that it really sets out our initiatives. Anything that the authority does starts in the annual plan. We lay out long-term initiatives in the back, and from a while ago, whether it was Broad Creek, whether it was Tidewater Gardens, that those initiatives begin in the annual plan process. NRHA has basically right now 3 overriding themes with our initiatives: transformation, preservation, and home ownership. We'll start with one of our transformation efforts that we're currently still in implementation. The Tidewater Gardens project is also a Choice Neighborhoods implementation grant. We began that back in 2005 is when the planning first started. The implementation began in 2019 after we got a grant, and we have been continue to implement that program since. Key things that are in that plan is there is a right to return for our former Tidewater residents. That right is accomplished by providing former Tidewater residents the first preference for the units that are constructed. To date, and we are still in implementation, but to date, there have been 701 total units that have been constructed. 179 of those units are assisted. 438 are income restricted, considered affordable, and 84 are market. We have 120 former Tidewater families that have moved back into those units to date. We have 191 units that are in construction right now, and then another 191 units that will be in construction in January of 2027. Slide up here now. On the left are renderings of projects that have either just opened or that were just opening, as in Unity at Kindred, or townhouses that are currently under construction. The photos that are on the right if I get my ring, those are actual interior shots, interior photos of units over at Reunion and Unity at Kindred. So those aren't renderings. Those are actual pictures of what the units as well as the buildings look like inside. Again, the idea as part of the transformation is we're not just providing basic housing, is that we're looking to transform and provide a much higher quality for our residents. And as I noted, all of our major initiatives emanate out of the annual plan. And a key part of that is what we call our section is the HUD regulations for Section 18 demolition and disposition. This is when we talk about if we're going to be doing transformation work in a public housing community, it comes out of the plan, and it's a directive of moving forward with an application on demolition and disposition. So we've had in the plan for some years, originally with the overall St. Paul's effort, identifying Tidewater Gardens, Young Terrace, and Calvert Square as part of our transformation work. Again, as I noted, back in 2019, we began the implementation work with Tidewater, and we continue that work. Last year, we put into the plan that we would begin our activities with Young Terrace and Calvert Square to begin the planning. And we did just that. So we began our planning efforts in Young and Calvert. We held a design workshop last July, and we've continued to meet with residents and continue to work on the refining that plan since that period. We had a retreat with City Council back in January, and from there we'll continue to work with the city on looking at stormwater, looking at parking, looking at the streets, looking at additional properties that could be part of the planning process. And so we'll continue that refinement really for the next 4 to 6 months. And our goal is to get to a plan that we can bring to the community and to the board that lays out the phasing, that lays out the people services, that lays out the full plan of how we can transform Young and Calvert. Our expectation is that we will have all that and be ready to submit an application in early 2027. This is an image from the charrette or the design workshop back in July. This was the outcome from there. And again, this is a concept. This isn't a final plan. This is a concept plan. So this is what the NRHA and the city will continue to work through and refine over the next 4 to 6 months. Section 18 program also, it's not just used for demolition, it's actually used for disposition, and it's actually a key tool that we use as part of our preservation work. There's a program that HUD put in place in the early 2010s, I believe it was 2013. It's called the Residential Assistance Demonstration Program, RAD. We've had many discussions at our board over the last 10 plus years on RAD, because NRHA has been implementing RAD conversions over the past 10 years with a number of our communities. The simplicity of a RAD conversion is it takes some of our public housing units and it allows us to convert them to project-based Section 8 units. So it takes them from one program to another program. And the reason to do that is it's usually part of a major renovation that we're doing, where we're looking to get low-income housing tax credits, and we need to access additional funding. And by going through the RAD program, it allows the housing authority to go after the tax credits as well as private debt in order to accomplish a renovation. NRHA has used this on a number of occasions. We've done it for the Franklin Arms community. We've done it for Diggstown, Grandy Village, and North Wellington. We've now been in the process and are soon to close on our financing for the Sykes mid-rise community, which we're expecting to start renovation in April. We're also working with the community builders, which are the developer of the Broad Creek community that was done some 25 years or 20 plus years ago, and also looking to preserve or renovate those units using the same process of a conversion through RAD and Section 18 disposition in order for us to get to a further LIHTC renovation of the property. NRHA in our plan, we also identify our other mid-rises, Hunter Square, Bobbitt, and Portrea, along with Sykes, is that we want to take all of those properties through this process so that we can conduct and complete a significant renovation. So in the coming years, we'll continue to work on those plans. I'm a little ahead of my slide, sorry. Also, from past redevelopment work, primarily at Broad Creek, we have a number of vacant parcels in the city. And as I noted, we have transformation, we have preservation, and there's also home ownership. So we're looking at our vacant properties as a way to deliver more home ownership units in the city of Norfolk. So we have two initiatives, one with the Moton Circle development where NRHA will be the developer. And we're looking to complete our site planning. We're coordinating with the city right now, looking to assemble funding where we'll do the infrastructure, and then we'll be doing disposition in order to get new for sale housing built there. In addition to that, we're in coordination with the city. Through a land swap some years ago, NRHA became the owner of the former Dreamkeeper school site, also known as, I believe it was Robert School site. The city wants to acquire that site back from us at fair market value in accordance with the HUD rules. And therefore we'll be processing that application to accomplish that. And again, with both of the properties, any land sales from these properties must go back in accordance with HUD guidelines back into the affordable housing program. Image on the screen shows where the two properties are located. This is off Princess Anne Road in the Broad Creek area between Tidewater Drive and the railroad tracks. Again, the Moton site is back off Cary Street, and the Dreamkeeper site is right on Princess Anne Road, right next to the new school and library. So one of the biggest changes, or one of the main changes that we're making in the annual plan, is really adding a tool for the authority. And that is HUD has a program called Rebuild and Restore. Formerly it was also known as the Fair Cloth Limit. And that is public housing authorities all across the nation. We are limited to a certain number of public housing units that we can have. This was set again, I think in the early 2000s. And at that time it was a hard limit. But since that time, through Hope 6 programs or CNI programs or other demolition efforts, authorities have actually many authorities have come below their fair cloth limit. So HUD a number of years ago recognized that instead of the limit being a barrier, it now becomes an opportunity for housing authorities where we can use a process working either with RAD or even with home ownership where we can bring those units back into existence in essence. It's not an automatic, and funding is not necessarily attached to this at first, but HUD has provided a pathway. So in order for NRHA to even explore or to use this tool in some of the work as we look to do transformations or we look to do other affordable home ownership in the city, we thought that this would be a good thing to add into our toolbox and put this as part of the annual plan. So for this annual plan amendment cycle, we have added the language in the annual plan for us to take advantage of the Rebuild, Restore HUD language. Each year, we also identify in our plan the capital fund program. NRHA receives about $10 million annually to support all across our portfolio of public housing units. This is typically for significant renovations, major work, studies, plans, demolition, relocation. The capital fund plan has many it has a lot of needs, a lot of asks from it, but it is limited in its overall amount. Again, the last few years we've been had about 10 million each year, and we expect that again this year, knock on wood. And again, that's spent across our public housing portfolio. This is showing the 2025, what was approved. We have a proposed for 2026. And again, this is all, this is our estimate for 2026, as we haven't got our final numbers in. We do come back before the board when we have our final numbers and actually get a formal approval by the board for our capital fund program once we have that. Now, this is where we get a little bit wonky. Along with the 5-year and the annual plan, NRHA has two critical documents that govern either the Section 8 program, which is the admin plan, as well as the, and I always make sure I say this right, as well as the admissions and continued occupancy policy, better known as the ACOP, which governs our public housing plan. For these two plans, any amendments goes through the annual plan process. So hence why I'm up here talking about them today. So we are making very limited changes to our admin and ACOP plans this year, but I'm going to go over them just very, very quickly. In Chapter 10, we are updating, or I should say, refining some of the, we're updating the language. Chapter 10 modification, what it revolves around is that HUD has for years talked about replacing the housing quality standards inspection protocols with something called Inspire. They have continuously pushed back those dates, and so we are just updating the language in the plan, in the admin plan, to identify the new HUD date from 2025 to 2027. Chapter 17, which is concerns project-based vouchers. HUD identifies a project cap in that the housing authority can issue project-based vouchers for developments, but we have a hard cap of 25% of our HCV funding. However, as with many things, HUD provides many exemptions or exclusions. And it's important for the authority, as we look at our program, and we've used our project-based voucher program as a way to have additional affordable housing units built in the city of Norfolk. And so we frequently, or not, we regularly issue a request for proposal for project-based vouchers as a way to help private developers across the city in order to build new affordable housing. And we need that cap as much as possible. So we are updating our language to make sure that we are taking advantage of any exclusion so that we can exceed our 25% cap. Also in Chapter 17, there is a cap on the number of project-based vouchers that you can have in any one project. Again, typically that's 25%. So we have cleaned up our language to ensure that we can again use exclusions that HUD has provided, that we can exceed that cap. They have certain elements where that they put in place, whether it's if you're providing services, if it's on certain properties, that you can go above the 25%. So we are taking advantage. We are actually just cleaning up our language to make it very clear that we take advantage of that. One item that we have found from the Tidewater Gardens project is in our plan right now, we have a requirement that when the project is developed or when projects are developed, we do our HQS inspections. You have 60 days from that HQS inspection to lease up. We have changed that language for new developments only, where we're going to extend that period to 120 days. And this is something that we will be evaluating annually to make sure that it's not a problem with that. But we have seen that with our Tidewater project, where the lease up within those 60 days from the HQS inspection has been problematic, which generally requires then another inspection. There would have been no change to the unit. And so therefore we thought that this was a safe approach to do, is to extend that to 120 days. NRHA uses site-based waiting lists across a number of properties. And so the amendment there is just that we're adding additional, identifying the additional properties that have come online that use the site-based waiting list. For the most part, it's been the new properties that are being built over as part of the Tidewater project, Tidewater Gardens project. And then another one, this is a big one. The emergency housing voucher program was not funded by HUD. And so they've instructed housing authorities that we have to transition all of our emergency housing voucher clients out of that program and just into the regular tenant program. And so they've given us a date of August 31st, 2026. And so we've put that in the plan. And so we are making that transition per HUD's direction. Now, I think I only have one on this one, the admissions and continued occupancy policy. In policy, it identifies protected classes. And so all we're doing is adding additional ones that are identified by the state of Virginia as beyond the federal ones. And so it's elderliness and military status. So we're adding that language to our policy to bring us consistent with the state of Virginia. Again, that's the overview of our amendments. We are in the comment period, and as I noted that March 29th, we're taking comments up to March 29th. We have multiple ways for the public to provide comments to us. Again, tonight we're going to have a public hearing, so they'll be able to make direct public comment between 6 and 7 tonight. We are also having the meeting on the 28th at Scope at the exhibition hall. But if folks don't want to come up, or if people don't want to come and make a direct comment in front of a large audience, we've also have the ability to submit through email to nHoneyblue. That will go to Natalie Honeyblue at nrha.us, or submit to annualplan@nrha.us. Or if you want to call, we have a telephone number that we've set up, and it's 757-314-1320. So we've provided multiple ways that residents can provide comments on our annual plan activity. And then finally, I just really want to again call out, please welcome everybody to come out on March 28th at the Scope Exhibition Hall. It's a great way to get one-on-one questions answered, to interface with NRHA staff. We will have, I think we'll have some Yardy Rent Cafe training there. Makisha just put her head up and said affirmative. We will also have our HCV staff there. Our city partners generally come out. We'll actually, if anyone want to engage, we'll also have our USI partners. I think the United Way will also be out there. So we'll have a lot of our partners, as well as staff and other city departments there to answer questions. And then, of course, we'll also be there. We can take comments on the annual plan, answer questions about the annual plan, as well as any of our initiatives. We'll have the NRHA staff there on programs and initiatives, projects. So we had a great session last year on March 1st. So this time, again, we felt that it would be another way for residents to directly engage with staff. Generally a good day, a lot of good information. That's my presentation.
Thank you, Steve. Commissioners, do we have any questions, comment of Mr. Morales' presentation?
No, thank you very much. That was excellent.
I'd just like to encourage folks, Steve has hit the highlights in his presentation. For those of you who have an interest in wanting more detail about the plan is available. They made me read it. And so consequently, if you want more insight and details about some of the things Steve touched on, this copy is readily available by calling any of the numbers that Steve gave you, or call a communications officer at NRHA or the executive director's office, and we can see that you get a copy if you like a hard copy like I prefer, or we can provide it via email or any other means.
It is available online also on our website.
Thank you for that, Steve. This is for the commissioners. If you want to speak on the annual plan, you can speak with the public comment between 6 and Okay, you can speak on that when we have the public comment for the annual plan later this evening. Steve, thank you.
Thank you.
Um, Next item on the agenda is the comments from our interim executive director, Mr. Clark.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Andy, I know we've got a couple other items to get to, and it's now about 5:15, so I'll be even more brief than I normally am. Just over the last couple of months since I've been back, I've been talking maintenance, 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 and I guess I'm going to keep that trend. We hear you to our residents when you mention the issues that you're having with your units and in the community. That was one of the primary reasons that we've merged our construction and our maintenance teams together. That's why over the last couple of months, we've been hiring maintenance, and I believe we hired some already, and we've got still 4 or 5 positions on the board now. We're retooling how we do this, how we also receive and respond to work orders, and also how we're going to go forward with our refresh units. I don't know how to say this other than just to say it. We're serious. Not talking about how we've done things in the past, but I'm talking about how we're going to do things now. I've given a charge to our executives. Let me say it this way. Our board has given a directive to me, and I've given a charge to our executive staff to be more responsive to our residents and also to address our maintenance needs. Now, that's not everything that we need to pivot within the authority. That's just where we're starting. There are a number of things that are coming later. Again, we'll get to those, but I just want to assure you, we hear you and we are taking this very seriously. And with that, I'll stop. Any questions from the board?
Commissioners?
I would just like to thank you for everything that you've been doing. I think that a lot of it is in the background and not seen by everybody here, and you've done an unbelievable job since you stepped in, and I thank you for it.
Thank you very much.
Any further comment, commissioners? Thank you, Michael. Board committee updates is the next agenda item. Any committee reports that we'd like to give, commissioners? Updates on any committee reports amongst commissioners? A resounding no. Moving forward, we'll go, next agenda item is commissioner comments. Any broad comments, commissioners, that we'd like to make at this time? Amy? Oh,
I think that, our next session is probably where we've got a lot to say in our next session. So that's.
hearing none, we'll move into the next session of our agenda. Ms. Carnes, for taking us into closed session.
Yes, sir. Resolution convening a closed session. Be it resolved that the authority will convene in a closed meeting pursuant to the Virginia Freedom of Information Act as amended to discuss the following matters which are specifically exempted from public disclosure by the code sections referred to below. Number 1, discussion and consideration of personnel matters involving the assignment, appointment, promotion, demotion, performance, salaries, or resignation of employees of the authority, as authorized by Section 2.2-3711A1 of the Act. And number 2, consultation with the authority's legal counsel regarding actual or probable litigation and legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by counsel, as authorized by Section 2.2-3711A7 of the Act. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Groover.
Aye.
Ms. Chudzinski.
Aye.
Mr. Casagrande.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Fraley.
Aye. That concludes our agenda thus far. We'll move into executive session, closed session, excuse me.
And we'll be back in here.
And we'll be back here at
6 p.m.
6 p.m.
Whereas the authority has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas Section 2.2-3712D of the 1950 Code of Virginia, as amended, requires a certification by this authority that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now, therefore, upon motion duly made and seconded, be it resolved that the authority hereby certifies that to the best of each commissioner's knowledge, number one, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed meeting. And number two, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the authority. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Is there any unreadiness? Hearing none, Ms. Carnes, you'll call the roll.
Mr. Groover?
Aye.
Ms. Chudzinski? Aye. Mr. Casagrande? Has left.
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Fraley?
Aye. With that, we will get into our public comment. Do we have any speakers ready to speak on the draft plan for the 5-year annual plan 2027?
Yes, currently we have 6 in-person speakers. The first speaker is Tiara Lassiter, and it followed by Melissa Bonfiglio.
We once again want to acknowledge that we like for our speakers to stick with a 3-minute window.
Yeah. I got you.
Thank you, Ms. Lassiter. Go right ahead. We won't start keeping time until you start speaking, but don't stand up there all this time and not saying anything.
Okay. Good afternoon, commissioners. So one of my questions is, why did I receive an email from NRHA that stated that demolition will begin in 3 to 4 years? However, upon reading the plan, projected start date for demolition of Young Terrace is in 2027, and it is complete demolition of all 746 units. Based on the actual timeline in the NRHA plan and related project documents, residents of the Calvert Square and Young Terrace communities likely won't need to move immediately, but they should realistically prepare for relocation around 2027 to 2029, depending upon their phase that they actually live in. So the plan says NRHA will complete master planning in fiscal year 2027 and submit a Section 18 demolition application to HUD. That means community meetings and plannings through 2026 through 27, federal approval process after that. Residents typically do not move until after HUD approves demolition. So the earliest relocation would realistically be late 2027 or 2028. However, from walking the Young Terrace community on yesterday, that section on Lincoln and Brambleton, there are several empty units that are boarded up, which is noticeably vacant in that whole section directly behind the Watergate store, where it appears that residents have already begun to move out. So if expected demolition is not right away, why are the units already boarded up for current demolition? Because that was the first sign of demolition for Tidewater Gardens residents, and I'm seeing it in Young's. Also, this is a concern of mine. Newer properties like Unity are charging $1,800 for a 2-bedroom apartment, when online it is advertised at $1,620. So the advertisement online is not currently matching the appropriate price that they are charging. My concerns about this is residents actually being priced out of housing that NRHA is providing for them in this transitional period, and them realistically only being able to stay about a year before they have to relocate again. Not to mention, will NRHA give us 1-for-1 replacement of these units? Because the project is a multi-phase redevelopment, which will contain 1,056 units, approximately 2,065 people. So my question is, where's the money going to come for the move? Because moving costs. Application fees cost. First month's rent deposit, those things cost. Even when you do have a Section 8 voucher, which the system needs to be revamped or improvised or changed or however you want to put it, because that's problematic as well. Thank you for your time.
You, Ms. Lassiter.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Melissa Bonfiglio from the Legal Aid Society of Eastern Virginia. I first want to raise concerns with NRHA's process regarding the fiscal year 2027 annual plan. Federal regulations provide that a PHA give the public a 45-day comment period on the annual plan. In prior years, NRHA's initial announcement and publication of the draft annual plan also included specific instructions on how to submit comments to NRHA. This year, the draft plan was published and the comment period began on February 13. However, NRHA failed to tell the public how to submit comments until March 2nd, 2 weeks into the 45-day comment period. Second, federal regulations require that PHAs conduct broad outreach to the public to solicit input and comments on the plan. In years past, NRHA has made copies of the draft plan available in public libraries and recreation centers. This year, NRHA has chosen to limit the public spaces. The plan was not posted in libraries. It was not posted in recreation centers. Instead, the plan was only available inside NRHA property management offices, inside NRHA TMC offices, in the Norfolk CSB, and in the Norfolk Social Services Department. It's troubling that public distribution and access is limited in the year when NRHA ramps up the process of demolishing Young and Calvert. While placing the plan in NRHA offices may make it accessible to NRHA residents, there is a huge public need for affordable and subsidized housing in Norfolk. The draft annual plan shows that 20,748 families are on the Housing Choice Voucher waitlist. 75% of those families fall in the extremely low income category. The draft annual plan also shows that there are 27,644 families on the public housing waitlist. By failing to provide copies of the annual plan in multiple locations outside of NRHA and city offices, NRHA has chosen to limit public participation at a time when Norfolk residents who are currently not NRHA residents desperately need affordable housing options. Page 10 of the annual plan says that NRHA plans to change all existing public housing in Norfolk to sustainable mixed income communities through a combination of new units, replacement units, and private rental assistance at private apartments. The problem is that vouchers, which in theory provide choices to tenants, only provide an illusion of choice. Voucher holders in Norfolk have difficulties finding units to rent, and some people are never able to use their vouchers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brandon Ballard, and I work at the Legal Aid Society of Eastern Virginia as well. The fiscal year 2027 annual plan demonstrates a troubling move towards the phased demolition of Young Terrace and Calvert Square without a concrete commitment to a build-first strategy. On page 20 of the annual plan, NRHA acknowledges that pursuant to a settlement agreement, it must retain a mutually agreed-upon consultant to make a report addressing whether the plan to demolish would perpetuate segregation, and 2, if the plan would perpetuate segregation, whether a build-first strategy is feasible to avoid that. The current draft states that NRHA will seek phased demolition approval for Young Terrace in fiscal year 2027. However, NRHA remains vague as to the timing of the required report. We cannot wait until after the master plan is finalized to ask if it is discriminatory. The build first feasibility study must be the foundation for the plan, not an afterthought. Unfortunately, the annual plan does just that. Besides page 20, page 39 is the only reference to the build first initiative. And even then, NRHA remains incredibly vague and noncommittal. As NRHA engaged the communities, as it was required to do, it told residents it would pursue a build first strategy. For example, in a flyer distributed to residents at the July 2025 charrette meetings, NRHA clearly said that it was committed to a build first strategy without displacement. Likewise, in a February 2025 WHRO interview, the former executive director stated, quote, "We're approaching this with a build first, so building off-site within the St. Paul's footprint. People don't have to be moved while we're using that time to build that first development." And at the November 2025 SPAC meeting, page 7, NRHA proclaimed that a key component of the build first strategy was to develop the former Stanley Furnishing site. But that's only 91 units compared to the 746 units that will be demolished at Young Terrace and 310 units at Calvert Square. It's also unclear whether all units would be affordable. Today, however, the annual plan doesn't even mention this site, let alone any site for a build first strategy. Without a build first model, NRHA risks repeating the clearance patterns of the past that fractured the social fabric of Norfolk's Black neighborhoods. As my colleague spoke to, while vouchers are certainly a part of the solution, a build first strategy with a 1-to-1 unit replacement is essential to ensure that redevelopment, while needed, doesn't leave behind the residents of Calvert Square and Young Terrace who desire to return. The unfortunate reality is that while residents have been provided input on what the redevelopment should look like, a supermajority of them will never return. That's what happened at Tidewater Garden residents. We can avoid repeating that mistake, but as currently drafted, LaCive is concerned that the NRHA's annual plan dooms it to repeat the mistakes of the past. Thank you.
Thank you. Alton?
Good evening. The two speakers before me, they were, I assume, lawyers. I'm coming from what I've seen and what has happened. With Tidewater Gardens, how many people were displaced? How many people were replaced? They was given the opportunities. They was told that they were given opportunity for entrepreneurship, job, and education. With the NRJ plan, you can see where they said 50% of the people in the community were uneducated. 50%. Has it gotten better since, this was 5 years ago, has it gotten better since then or worse? You could look at the turnout today. Young's Terrace across the street from here, Calvert Square, a couple of blocks down the street. And what's the attendance? Where are the people? The people that you're talking about, where are they? On the board. Where are the people on your board from the community? What I'm seeing, me personally, what I'm seeing is Black people are holding that land, been holding that land for 20, 30, 40 years. And now you want the land, but you can't get the land until you get rid of the people. And that's what I see. And you all see it too. And if you have any kind of heart, you'll know it's not right. You push the numbers, it don't add up. You displace 740 some people, you got 190 coming back. It don't add up. These are people out here. Your children, you ain't worried about them, but they worried about their children. And you have to be considerate about how the people feel. The lady campaign, she cried. You know what's going on. Y'all know what's been going on there for years. This ain't nothing happened. For years, we've been complaining about NRHA maintenance. It's been going on, and what's been happening? The same old thing. And then they coming in here talking to y'all now, like I'm talking to y'all. Is it going in one ear and out the other ear? Is it resting in your brain, but it's not reaching your heart to say we're going to do something different? You can at least tell the people the truth. 2027, you're going to demolish this. You ain't finished Tidewater Gardens. You're going to tear something down, you ain't finished building something up. Explain that to the people. We're going to tear your two communities down. We have not built up the one community that we already torn down. In the same process of tearing your community down, we haven't rebuilt nothing. Tell the people the truth. That's all I ask.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson.
The next speaker is Monet Johnson, immediately followed by Jasmine Byers.
Good evening. My name is Monet Johnson. I'm a resident of Norfolk, and I've spent my 20s engaged in housing advocacy in this city. I'm 29 now, and in 2021, when the city first decided to demolish Tidewater Gardens and started taking buildings down, residents and advocates delivered a large collections notice to the Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority, as well as City Council. It was a symbolic action meant to make a very simple point. When homes are taken away from families, those homes are owed back. At that time, 6 homes had already been demolished and hundreds of units were sitting vacant. Our concern was then that redevelopment was moving forward faster than replacement housing was being built. The premise we heard repeatedly was that we would learn from that experience. Today, we are discussing a build-first approach. The idea behind that model is straightforward. If redevelopment requires the removal of homes, new homes should exist before the displacement happens. It is meant to prevent the very instability and housing insecurity that Tidewater Gardens residents and many residents before them in Norfolk experienced. So my question tonight is simple. If build first is the lesson we learned, where are the buildings? Across Norfolk, development is happening everywhere. There's land to be built on. There's land to not be built on that's still being built on top of. Bonds continue to be approved. Projects continue to move forward, and the cranes continue to rise across this city. But for the residents who were displaced from public housing communities, the replacement housing is still very difficult for them to see. That raises an important question for this annual plan. When we talk about redevelopment, who is actually being built for? Because for many families who once lived in communities like Tidewater Gardens or Lafayette Shores or Moton Circle, the experience has been years and years of disruption, relocation, uncertainty, all in the name of lessons we say we're going to apply the next time. The people who lived in these communities should not have to keep paying the cost of those lessons. There should not be someone in Calvert Square who left Tidewater Gardens who left Roberts Park. That should not be the lived experience of someone who is supposed to be under your care. If Build First is truly the policy going forward, then the buildings should already be visible. The commitments should be clear, and the residents who were displaced should already know where they're going to return to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jasmine Byers, and I want to speak about the way vouchers are presented in the redevelopment plan. In many of these plans, vouchers are described as a pathway that allows families to move, relocate, or maintain housing opportunities when communities are redeveloped. But what residents experience in real life looks very different from what it sounds like on paper. First, people can wait years just to receive a housing voucher. And even when someone finally receives one, the voucher does not guarantee that they will actually find housing. They still have to find a landlord willing to accept it. They still have to find a unit that passes inspection. And the rent still has to fall within the payment standards of the program. In today's housing market, those barriers are real and they are common. So when residents hear that redevelopment will be balanced by vouchers, what many people are hearing is a solution that sounds accessible in policy language, but is extremely difficult to achieve in practice because a voucher is not a home. It is a program tool that only works in a housing market around a market that actually supports it. And many residents, especially in communities already facing instability, do not have the time, resources, or connection needed to navigate a system that complex. So when we talk about replacement housing and redevelopment strategies, it's important to recognize that offering vouchers alone does not automatically replace the housing people are losing. If vouchers are going to be part of the solution, then there must be
serious attention to the realities residents face when trying to use them. That means addressing landlord participation, housing availability, and the real barriers that make it difficult for families to secure housing even when they technically qualify. Because without those changes, vouchers risk being a promise that exists in policy, but not in practice for many of the people who need them most. And residents deserve solutions that work in reality, not just on paper. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Byers. Ms. Cruz, are we aware of any other speakers?
We have two additional speakers. First is Vantoria Clay, immediately followed by Raytron White.
I'm Vantoria Clay, and I'm with Independence Center. We're located in Norfolk, and we are a regional disability advocacy organization. And I appreciate the opportunity to provide comments on the agency draft plan for FY27. And what we like to say is that a significant number of people with disabilities live on SSI, which is $994 a month. And this is actually less than 100% of the federal poverty level. According to census data, there are estimated 5,000, at least 5,658 Norfolk citizens with a disability who are adults over the age of 18, and as well under the 100% of the federal poverty level, of which 3,228 have a mobility disability and over 2,000 have a vision or hearing disability. We understand the importance of redevelopment to create mixed income communities and to improve the quality of assisted housing. However, there is a critical need for the creation of additional assisted housing. Due to the growing numbers of people who are homeless, unstably housed, having high rent burdens, and are segregated in nursing facilities, unable to move back into the community. According to census data, among the renters who are those who are extremely low income, at least over 13,000 live in cost burdens over 30% and over 50% or greater. Of the assisted units that are being replaced, we recommend that at least 10% of the units be built and designed for people with mobility disabilities, and that as many buildings as possible include an elevator. So this can ensure that all units in that building are at minimum accessible per the Fair Housing Accessibility Guidelines. We appreciate the opportunity, and please, contact us for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clay. Mr. White?
So I think I'll stand this far back. Okay. My name is Raytron White. I would like for all the RAD board members, can you please stand up for a second? So the commission can see who you all are when we make our decision of what goes on in our neighborhoods. I want to thank Steve Morales, Ms. Karen Rose, and Mr. Norman. This is the first year I've understood the importance of this, because you all made it very plain to the residents and very, what I call it, plain and simple to us what will go on in the plan for the next 5 years. Previous years, I've been this boy. You can sit down now, y'all. Yeah, so the commissioners will know who you are. I'm sorry. I'll get y'all. We'll talk later. Just to know that, we really stand behind what we believe in and what has been said. And we just want to make sure communication is the key to this success thing that we have, you all. And if the agents can get the success of being the commitment of making sure that whatever stays up here, it stays, that we can believe it. A lot of people talk today about consistency and about what we haven't seen in a long time. So I think this has started, commissioners. They have really put something together. We just want to make sure it sticks, whatever it says, to make sure the residents get to know what it means and the communication that we need to start building on, because that is the key to all of this. If we can understand, and you all can present it to us, and the public can understand what's going on, there's no agenda behind that agenda behind that agenda. Just tell us what it is, and we can follow. We can follow. We're very educated people. We can follow. Just make sure it stays in 5 because if it doesn't, then we got a problem. So I want to give it time to thank Steve and Karen and Mr. Norman and Gwen and Corey's out of town. You all did a good job this time. I'm very proud of you all. And I'll make sure your check, well, you'll get your check on time. And one more thing, can we have this thing another day? Because it's MEAC time. And y'all missing all the fun activities. Mr. Norman, I'm so sorry you can't be there, but yeah. And we're still looking for some ideas and some comments, Commissioner Chairman, for Granny Village Boys and Girls Club. I still need to get that answer, some answers straight. But thank you all. I have to go. The basketball is calling me. And Mr. Clark, thank you for your time. Good night, you all.
Are there any more speakers remaining to speak, Ms. Cruz?
There are currently no requests for comment in the chat, and we have no additional in-person speakers.
Thank you, Ms. Cruz. I want to reemphasize that, as we always do, our appreciation to all the speakers who take the time to come forward to let us know what the concerns are. As much as we try to be a ubiquitous organization, to be everywhere at all times, that's an impossibility. We count on you folks to bring these type of circumstances to us so that we can address them in an appropriate and timely manner. Any inconvenience that you may have incurred as a result of our not responding in a timely enough manner, you can place that blame to the gentleman speaking to you now. Leadership begins at the top, and the circumstances are such that if we haven't focused our staff in a manner in which they recognize that it's important to respond to the needs of our residents, then we, bottom line, have failed. And failure is just not an option at this point. And so our circumstances, with your indulgence and with your cooperation, is to get ourselves in a position where your concerns are addressed in a timely manner, resolved equally as quickly, and we leave the door open at all times, to hear your concerns, your aspirations, and your recommendation as to how we can do our job of servicing our residents and our properties in a better manner. But let there be no misunderstanding. Your input, your comment, whether positive or negative, are indeed critical to us and any success that we achieve. And we thank you all for taking the time to share your thoughts with us. With that, we are, I'm sorry?
You have to stay as
I'm told, Ms. Cruz, and we need to check one more time to see if there are any online commenters or any folks that have a burning need to say something to us at this very moment.
I have verified that there are no additional comments in the chat and no additional in-person speakers.
You're very kind, Ms. Cruz. Somehow that's like a resounding happiness in my ears. Hearing that, Ms. Carnes? We good? So the chairman can ask for, I can, for an adjournment. Commissioners, any comment? CD. We're good. Hearing none, we want to thank all of you who came out to share this time with you. Your input has been invaluable to us. With that, I'd like to say thank you again, and we stand adjourned.